Hello, welcome to Netflix. I am Nate. You are you. And before we start talking about episode 4 of the new Chucky series, I wanted to announce a new review series I'm going to be doing here on the channel for the month of November. I am calling it 90s Vember. All month long, I'm going to be looking back at horror films from the 1990s and reviewing a couple of them each week. This will all culminate in my ranking of the top 10 horror movies of the 1990s, but I need your help. If you have a 90s horror movie that you know and love, and you don't think it gets enough credit, enough acclaim, that people don't talk about it enough nowadays, then go ahead and let me know about it. Recommend it and suggest it. Shout it out down in the comment section. I appreciate all of y'all's insights and all of your tips. Hopefully you will turn me on to a movie I have never seen and I will love, and then you will see it in my ranking at the end of the month, and maybe I can even do a review for you if you'd be into that type of thing. Just let me know down below. But now here are the 5 biggest takeaways that I had for the latest episode of Chucky. Number 5, I was really let down by everything that transpired with the Lexi character in this episode. Coming off the last episode, that's what I was most excited about seeing. I was like, well, how are they going to get her out of that inferno? The flames were coming out of her doorway, just pouring into the hallway. And Chucky has her at his mercy. He's got her cornered and he's laughing maniacally. Who's going to come to her rescue? How are they going to show this? This is going to look awesome. What a way to start an episode. This is going to be really cool. And then we didn't get to see that at all. And I'm really beginning to wonder if this is going to be a problem, because this is a TV series and they're kind of strapped in a budget sense. They're not going to be able to do the things that they could do in a feature film. I think we were really starting to see that. And I really wish we could have seen her escape or her rescue or some explanation as to why Chucky didn't just have this really great, gratifying kill of this character that we all hate so far. And I thought that was even worse, is now we're being asked to not hate her. She is teaming up with Jake and co. They're assembling like this little good guys, pun intended, coalition to take on Chucky. And I'm like, you made her too heinous, though. You made her the meanest of all mean girls of all time. This is the same girl who thought it was appropriate to dress up as a boy's recently deceased father and mock how he died in front of him and all of his friends and associates. I can't get on board with this character, especially not in this rushed fashion. So basically everything surrounding the Lexi character in this episode, I've thought to be in pretty bad taste and to not be executed all that well. I was really let down by it. And I understand that I'm going to have to come around to the fact that we are setting up like a redemption arc for Lexi. Hopefully the execution gets a little bit better and we can flesh this out appropriately. But right now I'm like, oh man, I didn't get to see her rescued from the fire. I didn't get to see how she escapes the clutches of Chucky. And now I'm supposed to root for her? Two, I've alluded to in past videos that I definitely think we have multiple Chucky dolls out there, because we set up in Cult of Chucky that now he can kind of possess and put his essence into multiple vessels at one time, and they will all take on his personality. So in this little episode, we got to see a very burnt up, mutilated, scarred up, disgusting, half melted Chucky, which was kind of a cool vision. You know, Dominant likes to always present to us a new version of Chucky that's taking on considerable wear and tear. So that was neat. But also elsewhere in the episode, we got to see a fully intact Chucky running around the hospital. I believe it was Junior who saw him before slipping into his little drug-induced haze. So we definitely know now that there are 2 Chuckies out there, and that really just sets up so many different possibilities, and I actually do like that, because we could have Andy out there. We saw in the first episode that he called Jake and was inquiring about his Chucky doll to see if the Chucky doll had done anything evil and if it had batteries and all this. So I think we could be setting up a really cool plot line where Andy and Nika are out trying to prevent all these Chuckies that have been dispersed all over the US. And that would allow us to have more than one season, because each season we could go visit another little town that is being tormented by a Chucky doll. Takeaway number 3 is that we still do not have any of the legacy players aside from Charles Lee Ray. I'm actually surprised by this, because we're only getting, I believe, 8 episodes. So we're now at the halfway point. And yet we don't have any Tiffany or Nika. We don't have anything like that. We've heard Andy's voice, but we don't have him in the flesh. I'm very surprised by that. Now, this episode, I think, was meant to let us know, hey, don't worry, fans. they are coming because we see our first real mention of them. I believe it was Devin went and did some online browsing, and he was looking up the past origins of this doll and its connection to Charles Lee Ray and all of his associates. And that's where you see Tiffany Valentine's name, and you see mentions of Nika. So hopefully that's them letting us know that, hey fans, stay on the hook, bear with us here. It is coming. We are building towards it. Don't worry. The reveal is coming. It'll be amazing. Just wait. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So hopefully next week, episode 5, maybe we'll finally get a little bit of Tiffany or Nika. Fingers crossed, because I'm definitely ready for it. It's not that I hate this little group of children. They're okay most of the time, but I'm ready for something else. I'm ready for some adult actors that I know and love, and I can really sink my teeth into what they're doing on the screen. I think our little group of heroes needs that. I think we need a real captain who has been there before, and we don't really have that yet. So hopefully it is coming next week in episode 5. For the adults that we do have that are new to us, they haven't had much to do to this point in the series until we got to this episode. And I actually thought that was one of the strengths of the episode, was seeing all of these parents kind of turn on one another and seeing all this drama kind of bubble up. And that felt like some of the most grounded, realistic stuff in this episode. And I thought like Devin Sawa's character, I thought he actually did some really nice stuff there in his portrayal. And I actually am kind of coming around to this guy and get on his team. I liked when he kind of spat at the one guy. I was like, oh, look who decided to show up after just kind of being his wife's little, bitch, for lack of a better word. I thought that was a nice, funny moment. And I love that Chucky is doing all this stuff. He's killing people. He's setting stuff on fire. Well, I guess he didn't mean to do that, but it's all happening because Chucky is around. But even more than that, this whole little community is just unraveling and turning on itself in the wake of Charles Lee Ray. And I love that aspect of that. So if we are getting multiple dolls, we are going to go to different towns over the lifetime of this series. I think that'll be cool to see that anywhere a Chucky doll pops up, the community just totally degrades. All right, and my last takeaway, and this is unfortunately a negative one, is that if the series continues to be handled in the way that this episode was, I don't know how much longer I will be able to continue with it. The first episode really did hook me in. I thought the second episode was the best episode yet. The third episode was a bit of a mixed bag. And then this episode, number 4, was almost a complete misfire for me. I touched on everything with the Lexi character and how underwhelming that was. And then we're starting to get some really lame ass kills where, again, I think the restrained budget of this series is starting to show. Last week, we had the weird kill where he jumps on the kid's back and he's stabbing him over and over again. Except there's no velocity to the doll's arm and the knife looks almost rubbery. It doesn't look like it's penetrating him for a second. The kill this week was weird and poorly shot with him climbing on top of that dude with the sweet tooth and just like... That didn't really work for me. The kills are just becoming goofy and it's really taken me out of it. I need really good, grisly, gory, creative Chucky kills. And right now I'm just not being satiated by what's being presented. There's just not a whole lot of great, scary atmosphere either. And the directing, some of the choices for this episode were just goofy to me. Like, if you edit it properly, I can see a look on Jake's face, and then the next scene is focusing on Devin, and I know that he was thinking of Devin, this kid that he has a crush on. I don't need you to have Jake sitting here like this and to have a sort of bubble appear with Devin's face in it. And that was just one instance where I thought, what we were doing here was almost sophomoric and goofy and just very, very poorly conceived. And there's a lot more in the episode. And the extended little take, the child actors were talking about getting to do the stunts to where Lexi falls through the banister and Jake has to save her and make a decision on if he's going to pull her up or to drop her and let Chucky kill her. And there was no tension in that. In fact, it made me want to laugh. We should be like, oh, what's going to happen here? Jake has to make a critical decision. And oh, this is scary and intense because what if he can't pull her up or Chucky gets her? But instead, you wanted to laugh at it because you're seeing her dangle from the second story. And yet it looks like her feet are all of a foot from the ground. It looks like Jake could just kind of let her down easy or just drop her all together and she would get up without so much as a bruise. So the camera angle there was very problematic for me. And so much of this episode was. I just thought there was a lot of puzzling decisions. And it just wasn't entertaining in the slightest. And it definitely wasn't scary. It definitely didn't feel akin to what we get out of the best Chucky feature films. So hopefully we don't continue with this type of direction because that's going to be very, very unfortunate. I think it's going to have I'm going to have a hard time like staying in it with this series. If the first episode had been the same level of quality as episode 4, I don't know that I would have continued further. So I know they're capable of good stuff, So let's reharness that, let's redirect it, and let's get back to the good stuff. Let's bring on the legacy players. Let's see what's going on with these multiple Chuckies. Let's do all of that, please. So those are my thoughts on episode 4 of the new Chucky series. Again, if you have any 90 movies that you would like to turn me on to, go ahead and comment them down below. We'll talk about it down there. I promise I'm all about commenting back and getting good engagement going on this channel. I'm all about the community. I'm a horror fan. You're a horror fan, so we might as well exchange ideas. But other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for Nate Flicks, and that's a wrap.